She is hailed as the most powerful mummy in history. With just a gentle wave of her hands, an entire city could be destroyed in an instant. Yet, despite her immense power, she is now bound in chains, unable to move. Toxic mercury is slowly injected into her body, forcing her to let out agonizing roars. 5,000 years ago, she was a noble Egyptian princess, strong, intelligent, and ruthless. However, everything changed on one fateful day. When a servant girl in the palace gave birth to a child, Princess' right to succession was taken away by this newborn. Ambitious and unwilling to relinquish her claim to power, she acted. In the dead of night, she performed a ritual, summoning the god of death with blood. Dark, evil powers instantly consumed her, granting her immortality and immense strength. Armed with the blade of the death god, she slaughtered her father and the infant that had stolen her throne. The palace guards intervened. Though she was immortal, she was captured and mummified alive. Her bound form was transported far from Egypt, sealed in a remote location. Fast forward 5,000 years to the modern day. The site where she was sealed is accidentally uncovered during a military operation. Nick, an artifact hunter embedded in the army, and his partner Vale, intrigued by local legends, discover the hidden location during a clash with insurgents. When archaeologist Jenny hears of the discovery, she rushes to the scene. Descending into the pit using ropes, the three find a vast underground complex, larger than expected. As the temperature rises, mercury begins to drip from the walls, flowing into the deeper recesses of the tomb. Jenny explains that the ancient Egyptians believed mercury could suppress evil forces. Following the flow, the group ventures further and is stunned by what they find: 6 statues surrounding a pool filled with mercury, held down by 3 massive chains. Clearly something is being sealed beneath. Realizing the significance of their discovery, Jenny begins recording everything with her camera. She requests reinforcements, but their commanding officer orders an immediate evacuation due to an incoming sandstorm. However, Nick, in a moment of curiosity, fires a shot at one of the chains connected to a mechanism. This action triggers the release of a horrifying entity. The long-sealed mummy rises once more. Chaos ensues as swarms of rats flood out of the tomb. Vale is bitten and panics, firing wildly. Meanwhile, Nick experiences a strange vision, pulled into an ancient illusion, where she claims him as her chosen one. Just as she approaches Nick in the vision, Jenny snaps him back to reality. The military rushes to evacuate, transporting sarcophagus onto a cargo plane. Nick falls into another vision. This time, she raises her hand, seemingly about to tear out his heart. When he snaps back to reality, he finds that Vale has undergone a horrifying transformation. Vale grabs a blade and kills the commanding officer. As the chaos escalates, Vale turns on his fellow soldiers, wielding the blade with murderous intent. At that moment, thick black smoke suddenly poured from the side of the plane, followed by a massive swarm of ravens. Like a dark cloud, they slammed into the aircraft with terrifying force, killing the pilots and crew instantly. Nick made a desperate decision. He strapped the only parachute onto Jenny and, at the last possible moment, pulled the ripcord, ensuring her survival. The scene shifted to a morgue, where Nick, presumed dead, lay in a body bag. Suddenly, he sat up, alive and confused. His pale-faced companion, Vale, appeared unexpectedly. Jenny burst through the door, equally stunned. Later, at a local bar, Jenny explained the disturbing legend of Princess Ahmanet. She recounted how Ahmanet made a pact with the god of death to obtain a mystical dagger, the Blade of Death, adorned with a massive ruby. When the ruby and the blade were united, they granted the power of the god of death. Centuries ago, Crusaders stole the ruby and hid it in a tomb in England. Recent discoveries suggested the ruby's location, linking it to Ahmanet's curse. As Jenny spoke, Nick was distracted by Vale's ghost, who urged him to follow. Reluctantly, Nick trailed Vale to a restroom, where Vale revealed that both of them were cursed and bound by Ahmanet's dark power. He warned that escape was impossible. Nick slipped into another hallucination, only to wake in a monastery surrounded by ominous shadows. Ahmanet's newly turned minions attacked, capturing Nick. She leapt onto him, examining him with unsettling intensity before shattering a nearby statue to retrieve the Blade of Death. When she attempted to stab Nick, she discovered the ruby was missing. In the chaos, Jenny tried to escape, but was cornered. He seized the opportunity, breaking free from the undead's grip and stabbing Ahmanet with her own dagger. He and Jenny escaped in a small truck, speeding away. Jenny confirmed that the blade was indeed the legendary Blade of Death. However, Amanet's undead army ambushed them in the forest. Despite their efforts to fight back, their truck tumbled down a slope. Nick was thrown from the vehicle, and Amanet, moving with terrifying speed, approached like a predator. Outmatched, Nick struggled to fend her off as she attacked. Jenny was nearly drained of life when a highly trained team suddenly appeared, rescuing them both. Nick awoke in a secure laboratory in London, where a man introducing himself as a doctor presented files about Nick. The doctor revealed the full extent of Nick's curse and the connection to Amanet. He explained that Jenny had been working for him all along. The team continued to inject her with mercury, planning to freeze her at -38 degrees Celsius to neutralize her powers. Meanwhile, the ruby was unearthed from the Crusader tomb, and Amanet, sensing its exposure, exhibited a sinister smile. She began chanting an incantation, using scarabs to possess one of the staff members, who disabled the mercury injections and compromised the security of her chains, escalating the situation further. Nick executed an incredibly difficult maneuver, climbing the chains with precision before pouncing on a nearby guard. Meanwhile, the doctor explained to Nick that he had to accept the destiny bestowed by the god of death. Only by doing so could they completely eradicate the dark force. However, Nick, whose primary concern was looting artifacts, wasn't exactly inspired by such a noble cause. As the conversation went on, the doctor began to exhibit disturbing behavior, fumbling for a syringe. Unexpectedly, the doctor transformed into a monstrous form, revealing that he too harbored an evil force within him. The two engaged in a fierce battle, with neither gaining the upper hand. In a crucial moment, Nick grabbed the syringe and injected the doctor, restoring him to his original state. Just as Nick was left bewildered, Jenny rushed in, revealing a crucial piece of information. The only way to lift the curse was to destroy the ruby. Without the ruby, the ritual could not be completed. However, Amanet, who was nearing success in her plans, would never let him go so easily. Amanet began chanting incantations, and as the spell reached its climax, a massive sandstorm engulfed the city, leaving no room for escape. In the chaos, Vale appeared, claiming he knew the ruby's location. Vale delivered Nick straight into Amanet's hands. They were ambushed by undead minions near a pool. Amanet arrived and dragged Jenny underwater. Despite Nick's desperate efforts, he was too late. Jenny drowned before his eyes. Consumed by rage, Nick charged at Amanet, but she quickly overpowered him, slashing at him with merciless precision. Using her seductive and manipulative tactics, Amanet tried to convince Nick to willingly give up his body for the ritual. However, Nick resisted and stealthily snatched the Blade of Death from her. He was about to shatter the ruby, but paused as his gaze fell on Jenny's lifeless body. In that moment, an audacious idea struck him. Nick turned the Blade of Death on himself, plunging it into his own chest. In an instant, flashes of his memories flooded back, and his eyes transformed, signifying the completion of the ritual. However, since Nick performed the ritual on himself, he retained his humanity while also gaining the immense power of the ruby. Now, wielding extraordinary strength, Nick turned his vengeance on Amanet, gripping her by the neck and draining her life force until she crumbled into ash. He then rushed to Jenny's side. In desperation, he unleashed a guttural roar, unintentionally using his newfound power to resurrect her. They decided to travel the world together, seeking a way to lift the curse once and for all. And with that, the story ends. See you next time.